Mike Russo, the beat writer par excellence of the Minnesota Wild, covering the Minnesota Wild for The Athletic. We've had him on the program, well, many times in the past. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate the time here tonight.
No problem. How are you?
Yeah, very well, buddy. How are you? You've
Good,
got your
good.
finger. You've got your finger on everything Guerin and the Wild do. How surprised were you tonight?
Yeah, surprise, especially since I talked to Billy twice today.
How dare he?
Yeah, I know that sure makes me look out to lunch. Even worse, I was actually working on an Ellen Hughes feature today, so that even makes me double embarrassed. Yeah, very very surprised. Look, but Bill Guerin has made it extremely clear, could not be clearer, that he is going big game hunting this season, and he wants to do it quick. And this was the one big game piece on the market right now. I think all of us thought that he had his eyes on players like Tage Thompson and things like that, and maybe that still could be the case eventually, although this might have been the package to go into that. But Quinn Hughes, I mean, to get the second best defenseman in the NHL in my mind, in his prime at 26 years old, a Norris Trophy winner, and put him in a Wild lineup with Kirill Kaprizov and Brock Faber and Jesper Valsted and Matt Boldy, who is a star. I think that is something, one, he hopes convinces Quinn to sign here. Two, elevates them on par or gets them closer to Dallas and Colorado. And three, lures other players to Minnesota because they still need a center, even more so now that they traded Rossi. I get why he did it. These players don't grow on trees. So I actually think it's a win-win for both. I think that Vancouver was put in a position that they knew he wasn't going to extend, and they had to get the best possible package out there, and they wanted to do it quickly. And to get the equivalent of 4 first-round picks here, essentially, with Rossi, Buium, who could eventually become a Quinn Hughes type, and Öhgren, I think it's absolutely worth the gamble by Jim Rutherford and Patrick Allvin.
These are still early hours, Mike, but how is the trade being received by Minnesota Wild fans?
I'll be honest, I have not looked at Twitter, so
okay.
It's either good or bad or in a mix. And knowing with Wild fans, they're panicking. I've conditioned Wild fans to panic over the years, so I'm sure they're a little worried.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah,
don't worry about it, Mike. I don't want to ask you questions you don't know the answer to. Again, we're all freewheeling here. Nobody expected to spend their Friday night doing this, I'm sure. Let me ask you about the component parts here of this deal that are coming back to Vancouver. Mike, can you explain why the Minnesota Wild seemed so eager to trade Marco Rossi?
I think Billy it's the undersized nature of him. It's the belief probably that he doesn't have maybe the wheels to eventually be that true number one center. But I'm telling you, Vancouver is getting a gem of a guy, a gem of a player. He might be undersized, but just go on to NHL Edge or any analytics and see where he scores his goals from. He's got balls of steel. He goes into the tough areas. He is incredibly great hands. He's got to work on his faceoffs. His conditioning is excellent, and he's got incredible leadership standpoints. This is a kid that overcame a heart ailment here in Minnesota and really set him back a year. And I just think that the world of the kid. And I do think that right now the Vancouver Canucks, from an immediacy standpoint at center, they're definitely better.
The heart ailment, Mike, is there anything lingering there? Is he completely in the clear? What can you tell us about his health going forward?
Yeah, he is supposed to be sorry, I'm getting distracted by other texts. Yeah, this has not been an issue at all. I definitely think that at the very, very beginning. Yeah, I think definitely at the very beginning. And I am very, very tight with his family and him. He was just scared. And so when he first came back to the NHL, I think he was scared to exert himself. I mean, he had an ailment that if the Wild doctors did not catch, could have killed him. And so, he has been 100%. This was during the pandemic. So after he captained Austria in the World Juniors in Alberta. And so that was a long time ago. And he's just been an excellent player the last couple of years, up until this injury that currently has him out of the lineup. Matt, he is played all 82 games the last 2 years. As I mentioned, he plays through anything. This one, he just finally had to come out. He had a broken bone in his foot. He's practiced the last couple of days. He was supposed to play Sunday. So he'll be, trust me, I talked to him tonight. He is excited to get to Vancouver, and I think he's going to, be ready to debut right when they want to put him in the lineup.
A non-drinker, a devout Christian. He and his girlfriend pray before games, and he's a fan of the Red Bull racing team from his native Austria in Formula One.
I actually, I'll tweet it out for Canucks fans, but I actually went to his hometown a couple of years ago. He was my Uber driver throughout his hometown, and I wrote a really cool feature on him, so I'll throw that out there.
We'd love to see it. For many, Mike, the prize here for the Canucks is not actually Rossi, the already formed second-line center and 60-point guy in the NHL, but Zeev Buium, the 12th overall pick, and I've been stressing here on this emergency pod, he fell to the 12th overall pick. There were a ton of people who thought he was a surefire top 10. What can you tell us about Zeev Buium?
Another great kid, one of the best skaters that I've ever covered, and he is going to be a fabulous offensive defenseman. What I've loved about him the last really month is that he's just gotten better and better and better as a teenager. In fact, he's 20 or he's about to turn 20. He's just gotten better defensively in his own zone. He is undersized, not undersized, but he's got to get bigger, and he put on a lot of muscle. But I'm tight with John Blum, who plays in the KHL and used to play in the National Hockey League, and he worked out with him all summer, and he just
former Vancouver Giant captain John Blum, Mike. Yeah.
And John told me all summer, you won't believe how hard this kid works in the room. So, he's the goal for him, and I think it very well could happen, is that the Wild just get, a Quinn Hughes that's 3 years more advanced, 6 years more advanced, but you know what I mean from an NHL standpoint. And, that the Buium could eventually get there. But I think that what this shows you, Matt, is that Bill Guerin's in absolute win now mode, right? The fans here have been dealing with the Parise and Suter buyout situation for a long time. And he is not willing to wait for Zeev Buium to become Quinn Hughes. He's not willing to risk that Marco Rossi is the number one center that he doesn't think he could become. So that's why they made the trade.
Oh, my goodness. You don't make a move like this unless you're in win now mode. This is a massive swing from Bill Guerin. Mike, in terms of Buium on the defensive side, like we always said here in Vancouver, Quinn's turned into a very good defensive player because he has the puck on his stick for 4+ minutes a night, and he just doesn't give it away, so he's not playing defense often. What can you tell? Everybody loves Buium's skating and offensive ability. Where do you think he fits as a defensive defenseman, and is he going to have to be sheltered? I think it's going to
happen for him. It's not there yet. That's the thing. What I think needs to mature in his game actually is the offensive component of his game. He doesn't want to seem to, right now, probably because of his age and not wanting to make mistakes that are going to hurt the team, have the puck on his stick a lot. It seems sometimes frantic with it, wants to get it rid of it. We saw it actually in the game in Vancouver last week. There was one play in the second period, if you remember, second period, might have been the first or third. Okay, there we go, because I know which way. Where he skated on the power play right through the entire Canucks defense on the penalty kill, gets between the circles, cuts to the inside, and then either loses the puck or gave it away in that situation, does not unleash it. So it seems like that's the area that's going to mature, and it's going to happen for him. I've seen it before. I mean, there's going to come a point where he's now going to realize, you know what, I'm good enough to actually make the play here and not give it to Carell to make the play, not give it to Zuccarello to make the play. And so I think that is just going to continue to come with great coaching, and we've seen it at every level, whether it's internationally for the United States and college at DU. This is going to be a great, great defenseman.
Mike, I hate to break your heart. I watch most Canucks games, but last Saturday I was engaged in your former hometown there of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, watching that Vancouver Whitecaps Inter-Miami soccer championship soccer match. So I missed it. I'm sure our listeners and our viewers watched it. Lastly, Mike, and I know you're busy, I appreciate the time here. Liam Öhgren, and I think the first thing that's going to jump out for Canucks fans is, what do you mean he's played 18 games and doesn't have a point this year? Talk to me about Liam Öhgren.
Yeah, here's another kid that if you go to his social media, you'll see his dad's a professional trainer in Sweden, has worked with NHLers for years, guys like Jesper Bratt and Rickard Rakell, and Landeskog, and so he's built like a machine. I think he's a little in his head too much. I think he's always thinking about what the coaches want, and it's really paralyzed him at times offensively. I actually thought his game in Vancouver last week was one of the better games that we've seen. And coincidentally, the reason why I was really paying attention to him is I know the Wild offered him for Sherwood. And so, I just thought that maybe they might showcase him a little, and I was curious to see how he played in front of Rutherford and Alvin. And, I just, the one thing, he has an NHL shot. I think the one area that he's got to improve is just foot speed. He doesn't seem to be able to really have that extra gear. He's gotten better physically. As I mentioned, he's built like a machine. He's got the NHL shot. I think he could he could be a good middle six winner. The kid is another great kid. I mean, I can tell you the one thing the Canucks just got, and we know the history in the last couple of years of the turmoil inside that locker room. The Canucks locker room just got three great guys today.
Standing Mike, just one quickly. Are they still in on Kiefer Sherwood after giving up all these assets?
I don't know. I think that if they wanted Sherwood, they could probably be like, hey, if you want this deal done, throw him in. Yeah. I mean, look, Kiefer Sherwood is a Bill Guerin type player, but the fact that it didn't happen today, my guess is it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, you would know it better than me, buddy, and Kirill Kaprizov is a hell of a hockey player. Do not get me wrong, but I think there's an argument that the single greatest NHL player to play for the Minnesota Wild has arrived today. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, Kirill is obviously blessed, and I think Boldy is well on his way. But, I mean, the Wild have never – and they've had some good defensemen. They've never had anybody like this. And so, 2 years removed from a Norris, those guys don't just grow on trees. And you get them at 26 years old. I think the Wild feel like they have an excellent chance to re-sign him. I'm hearing more and more that he probably doesn't want to go to Jersey because of what the role it might put Luke in. And so, we know the history that Bill Guerin has with Quinn, with Team USA. I just think that, and then with the CBA change, I think the Wild have all the advantages to re-sign him.
Yeah. When you first saw it, were you knee-jerk, that's too much, or wow, what a get at that price?
I got the scoop. Somebody called me and said that the Wild just traded these three guys. And I was making calls, and I knew it either had to be for Quinn or Elias. And I thought it had to be Quinn, just knowing Bill Guerin and the way that, just even talking to him today and just knowing how much he's looking out there. And so did I think it's too much? I guess I didn't know about the first at first. And just
that's an unprotected first, Mike? That's an unprotected first?
Yeah. And so, and the other thing is, like they have no assurances that he's going to resign here. That has not been discussed yet with his camp, and I'm sure it'll happen quickly. But you don't want another Mikko Rantanen type of situation. So at first, I was a little shocked when I got the call, and it took me about 15 minutes to finally confirm and put it out there. But it was a frantic 15 minutes of my hand shaking, knowing that they just gave away these three players and not being able to confirm. And I can tell you that was nerve-wracking.
One of the bigger trades you'll ever cover, and you've covered a number of them.
I covered, a Pavel Bure, Brett Hedican.
I remember you in Florida all those years ago. Yeah.
There were like 8 or 10 components to that trade.
At Russo, Russo Hockey, you can follow him, who does sensational work in Minnesota, and he's promised he's going to tweet some things out for Canucks fans here. Mike, we look forward to this. Can't thank you enough, brother, on a Friday night to come on. I appreciate this.
Yep. Say hi to me all.
Yeah, sure will. That is Mike Russo of The Athletic in the Twin Cities, who has covered the Wild for an awfully long time and covered the Panthers before that, where he welcomed Pavel Bure to town. So there you go. Wherever Russo goes, big Vancouver Canucks trades happen.